Hello and welcome to In the Light, Growing Your Soul with me, Isabel. I'm an analytical hypnotherapist as well as a psychological astrologer. And I am so delighted to welcome back Tammy Billups. Hello, Tammy.
Hi, it's good to see you, Anna. Thank you for having me back.
So last time you were here, we had a wonderful conversation about animal soul contracts. And that then led me to go and find some more of your work. And here it is. It's soul healing with our animal companions. And I love this because it's very personal from the point of view that there's a lot of personal accounts in there, a lot of anecdotes. It's also the story of your own journey into this work, which begins, I think, with trauma, really, from your early childhood, and I think there's so much in here that, having had 1, 2, 3, 4, I'm on my fifth animal companion, third species. It really resonates so much with me. And I think maybe it might be good to start with the title of your book, Soul Healing with Our Animal Companions, because I think that there's quite a lot of concepts just within that title.
Yes. Yes, there is. I mean, we're on our journeys with our animal companions. We're not just their caretakers, and they aren't just our companions. And the more we let them in our hearts, the more the title becomes a reality. We are healing our souls together. It's a mutually designed journey that we have with these beautiful souls that come in our lives to help us grow and transform and evolve. It's extraordinary.
I think the other thing that it really struck a chord with me for lots of different reasons was, and I'm just going to quote, this is right at the start of the book. You say animals choose to live with people so that they can heal the same issues together. I think that's really quite pertinent, because I have noticed very often, they say that people look like their dogs, for instance. And there is, I think, some truth in that. And it could be, that we're attracted to things that are familiar to us. But then I've also noticed that we often have issues in common with our animals. And it's easy to say, oh, well, you're just transferring your issues onto them. But I think it goes deeper than that, because I've noticed where there are similar physical ailments happening between the person and the animal. So tell us a little bit about this from your perspective.
Well, that's mirroring. We are going to call in, likes attracts, like souls, right? It's like the story of when I was, many moons ago, 15 years ago, when I was talking to the 6-year-olds at the animal rescue center, and I was asking them which dog they had met that they, were drawn to. And the little girl who said, oh, I want to go first. And she, said which dog she was drawn to. It's Chloe. And why are you drawn to her? Because she's happy and she's, so much fun to be around. And then when I finally call on the little boy in the back, who's kind of separate from the others and not talking, he says the dog he's drawn to, is, I forget her name, but I said, why are you drawn to her? And he said, because she just looked like she was sad and that she needed a friend. We are drawn to likes, and for many of us people who maybe people are not safe to let in our hearts, we're going to let animals get closer to us. And because of that, and certainly I'm a living, example of that. Because of that, they are going to mirror us. we are going to be drawn, just like the children were, they're going to be drawn to those that are vibrating with similar issues. And that can be physical ailments, that can be emotional ailments, and that certainly can be energetic in our field and where we are on our journey. So we're going to call in each other, and we're going to set up these beautiful meetings that we have, these partnerships that we have with our animals to work on those things together.
So you can see that even when we're talking about what breed of dog we are looking for,
Yes.
Some people are going to be drawn to breeds that are, bouncier and more energetic. And I've noticed, that people who are drawn to that type of dog very often are very outgoing and extrovert, whereas people who are drawn to dogs that are more, shall we say, self-contained, often are quieter themselves. So I think it's also what we identify with. And it could well be that if you're presented with a litter of puppies, or if you're going into a rescue shelter, and you are someone who is more, let's say, more reticent because of trauma that you've suffered, you may well be drawn to the dog that's cowering at the back, of their cage. And so there is definitely that.
We relate. Who we relate to. Yes. I always say, go to a dog park if you want to learn about what the people are really like and watch their dogs. Because you'll see the pairs emulating each other. Not only will they sometimes look like each other, but they'll also personality wise be very, very much alike. Often, not always, but often you will see that.
I think also that there's that layer, but then there's got to be something deeper when we're talking about physical issues, mirroring. I think that is where there's something deeper going on than simply transference, identification, attraction. There is that, and that's a very strong component of it. But then when you start getting into having similar issues at a physical level, there's something else that's going on there, isn't there?
Well, there's many different options that can really be portraying for the person to look at. And yes, I mean, there's so many rescue animals, of course, and they arrive from the day that they arrive in your house with certain issues, might be physical issues, but yes. And I experienced that, I experienced where when I would get, asthma, and my cat got diagnosed with asthma, a month later. And that was back before I did this work. And I would just say, what are the coincidences of that happening? And then as I started doing the work, I realized that happens a lot. And I've talked to many veterinarians that say the same thing, that they'll see that happen. And sometimes there is transference that's going on, and sometimes they are working on their own. They are evolving as well, and they are wanting to work on similar issues that you're healing together. And maybe there's energetic congestion in certain areas of both of your bodies as weak spots, depending on your soul's journey and experiences that you. It's a lot faster to sign up with these animals to heal it together.
I think it's really fascinating to consider that in the same way that we come in with issues to work on, that they also have issues that they want to work on. Tell us more about that, because I think it's quite a big wow to think that an animal at a consciousness level comes in with a mission, just like we do.
Yes. Well, they definitely have a higher purpose to their actions, and in addition, their personal evolutionary healing journey. I mean, if you think about some of the animals that we know that, have done awful things, to people, and you hear about it, every day. If you're looking for it, you're going to see it. And those animals will want to amend their energy, and their karma that they've accumulated, and want to come in and know that it's safe to be here. I mean, Earth isn't necessarily a great safe place for many animals to come. And so they may be traumatized coming in and have their anger, and have just like we do, because they have their experiences from being here before, I believe. So they come in with wanting to heal these physical issues. So of course they're going to want to partner, and get support on the earthly plane to be able to heal those things. And so, of course, we're going to be drawn and mirrored to each other like magnets to heal similar issues. And a lot of times, though, when the person, I've just noticed this time and time again, that as soon as the person really takes on a deeper inner healing journey, that the animal benefits times 10 or maybe times 100 from the shift in their energy. And all of a sudden, the person is feeling better, and then the animal's going to reciprocate that. So, in so many ways, us taking responsibility for doing our inner work and not relying on, external factors or external beings to support us in a deep, you understand what I'm saying, right? Not, of course, we want support from others, but to take responsibility for taking action on our own inner healing journey, it's going to benefit those animals that come in our lives to do the same thing. They're going to get a hit of that. Basically, they're going to feel the shift in your energy, and it's going to help them heal what they came to heal at a deeper level.
Okay, so the human soul comes in, and there is an evolutionary purpose, as in learning to be more heart-centered, hopefully helping to elevate or contributing to the elevation of humanity, and perhaps creating a more peaceful, understanding world. Okay, so that's understandable. But are we saying that the souls of animals have the same purpose, a similar purpose? What are we saying here is the purpose of, or the direction that an animal's soul is heading for in terms of evolution?
Well, I believe that we all have a higher purpose to our journeys. And absolutely, I believe as a whole, not talking about the individual animal now with the physical issue, but as a whole, that especially domesticated animals are serving humanity. It's like they're on the front lines of the animal kingdom's work, because the closer you get to people, the more probability they have of having trauma, quite frankly. So they're quite brave souls. And I do believe that they have a higher purpose to help to elevate the consciousness and the vibration of the world, of humanity, and trying to hold a sacred higher vibration and helping us so that we can all evolve together to get to a higher level of consciousness. Absolutely. So every soul on some level wants to serve, I believe. They want to serve. And you would do that through your own vibration, of course, and then through helping others, and holding that sacred space for humanity and animals as well.
There are some people who, on the more extreme animal rights side of things, argue that it's wrong for anyone to have pets. You and I don't see them as pets, but they would say that it's wrong because animals, should be free and not have any links to human beings. Obviously, you and I have different views on that to theirs. But I think looking at it from this perspective, from the soul perspective, it suggests that there is an actual purpose for the combination of human and animal soul.
Yes, of course, yes. And every soul has free will, and even those people who only want freedom for every soul really want freedom for themselves first, right? They want the freedom for themselves because they didn't get that freedom in some way. And that's part of their soul's mission, is to get freedom for themselves, and you hear what I'm saying?
Yeah. I do. Absolutely. Again, it's that whole transference of our individual issues onto a something else, yeah. Which is there. I agree with you entirely on that score. And yet it does behove us to question our motives in bonding with another species. But I think that for me, bonding with another species is an extraordinary experience, because it is an opportunity to look at the world through different eyes, and also to open our hearts and actually become more humane, more human in that sense. So that's my feeling. And now, as I'm listening to you and reading your books, I'm thinking perhaps that's one of the reasons they're here, is to help us to do exactly that.
Yes. And some people have never experienced kindness from another being. And animals are the only way that they will know love for the first time, or they will know what unconditional love is, especially unconditional love and kindness and compassion and acceptance, all of these, high vibrational emotion, the virtues. And so the universe is going to use animals, because that's the only way that some people will let in those higher vibrations. And when an animal comes in and gets in the heart of someone that didn't even know their capacity to love, had never experienced that before, it's life-changing for that person. And that's why initially, the person will hold on so tight. That's why I have all those chapters around over loving, because it'd be like, oh my gosh, I've never experienced anything like this before. I don't want to lose it. And all of a sudden the animal can do anything they want, because they're holding that person's virtues as a mirror for them. This is in you as well, as what their message is. This is in you. I see this in you. It's amazing. And so animals, I believe, sign up to partner with us in ways that we couldn't with people.
I think in many respects, I look at them as being, and this is not in any sense, because you hear a lot of people saying, oh, I prefer animals to people. And there seems to be a fashion to degrade human beings. And this is not the spirit in which I'm about to say what I'm going to say. But I feel in some respects that an animal soul appears to me to be more evolved than ours. And what I mean by that is that there is an innocent intent that comes in with the purpose of being in the moment, being non-judgmental, and actually very often there's a sacrifice, particularly with animals who are in the food chain, whether they are being farmed or hunted. And I look at that with deep respect and admiration, because I think that's not an easy thing for a soul to come in to do, clearly. And many of us would struggle with that level of selflessness. What do you feel?
Oh, these are deep questions. Oh, goodness. I believe that every soul has free will, and that even those beings that choose to have that type of life, um, and even if it's to do their portion of raising awareness and bringing attention to it in some way, like oil spills or something where an animal or many animals lose their lives. I believe that it might be a higher purpose in that animal soul to bring awareness to it and bring change about. And so we can all choose to have different experiences, and who knows what's happened in our soul's past that said why we want to have that type of experience. And so in one way, we must honor our soul's path, and that when we can reach for the higher purpose, it helps us, of course. It helps us to feel better, to know that, goodness, they might have chosen that. Does that make it right? No, of course not, but we must look at the bigger picture for where things are going, and hold the high vibration of awareness. And of course, we start with ourselves with that and our own choices. And, it's like one vote, one change, whatever, right? We have to believe in our personal choice and power and what we can do with that. But yeah, I'm sure we have, as people, we have different choices of different lives that we do too, that are quite extraordinary, why in the world would we need to do that or have that experience? But then we do. And you hope that as we evolve, that there's less of that that's needed to go through those level of experiences as our level of awareness changes.
Indeed. Yes. I absolutely hold the deepest reverence for the giving nature of animal souls. I think that's what it boils down to. And you described them as being extremely courageous, and I would absolutely agree with that. You also, in your book, you talk about 5 core wounds.
Mm-hmm.
Tell us a little bit about that.
Yes, this was so fascinating, because this is really I have a 4-year certification in these 5 core wounds, emotional wounds for people, to learn how to help people heal them. And so it was extraordinary to me to learn that animals also, I would see in their energetic patterns that they're trying to heal these same wounds. And of course, then we go to the mirroring, right? Where they're, of course, signed up to heal with the person with the same wound. So there's abandonment, invasiveness, betrayal, terror, and then denial of self, kind of detachment. And those are the 5 basic emotional core wounds that I have come across within people and within animals. And so, they will always be mirroring each other. If the animal has a lot of abandonment in their background, separation anxiety, codependency, whatever, you can bet they're with a person that has not healed their abandonment wound yet. It may show up differently for them, of course, but those things are going to happen every single time. Every single time. There's really, it's one of those where there really aren't any exceptions to that rule. They're going to be mirroring something within you. And we have, many, we all have a little bit of each emotional wound in our soul's history, but usually there's 2 to 3 that are more prominent in our energy field that we're trying to heal together. And the good news is that the more you learn about, maybe, to identify which wound is within your animal, then it helps to know more about yourself. Because when you start looking at healing that emotional wound within yourself, then your animal, again, is going to benefit tremendously.
What do you feel is this is going to be a hard question, I think, but what do you feel you have learned most from your work with animals?
Wow, I can feel the emotion just as you asked that question. It's going to sound a bit cliche, but I have enhanced my capacity to love. That's really, the most prominent thing that I can feel from animals. It's certainly helped me along my journey because I'm the example of what I've been talking about, where animals were safe to love. And so I let them in. And whenever we've teamed up to partner with animals more, then I want to be able to honor what their soul wants along with mine, because the less I suffer, the less they suffer. So I'm consistently blown away by how much our animals are doing for us. And I feel and believe the best way to honor them is by embracing the lessons and walking the talk and breathing in all the beauty that they've been showing to me about myself.
Because I was listening to you, and it then made me think, well, what would my answer be to that, you know?
Yes.
And it's really difficult because there's so much. There's so much. Number one, I think, is an enhanced connection with nature. I think that when I look back, the first animal who was a part of my life was my gorgeous budgie, Chuckles. I would have been about 17 at that point. And that was what first made me start questioning the relationship to animals. Do I want to eat them? I suddenly found it very difficult to eat chicken because it's a bird. And so it began a whole process of questioning my relationship with animals in general, and nature, and the desire to connect with nature, I think, began at that point. It was an awakening that he brought me. And subsequently, each of them has brought me something else. And I think potentially the other thing that they each have taught me is the importance of paying attention and detail in communication, because their way of communicating is so different to ours. We rely so much on the verbal communication. We're also communicating heaps through our body language, of course, but we're not as aware of that. Whereas when we're communicating with an animal, we are completely focused on their body language, just as they are on ours. So that's something that is a detail that has actually served me well as a therapist.
Beautiful.
It's meant that I am watching in a way that they've taught me to watch. So there's all these things that come in, aren't there, that are so important. You know, I think I'm a far better human being for having shared my life with, I guess it's 7 animals at this count. Mm-hmm. It's so yes, there it is.
Beautiful. I love that. You know, and you got me thinking that, you know, I mean, animals, I think it's easier for them to remain themselves because they don't have to unlearn. They don't have to be taught to be, you know, more left brain. I mean, we come in the same way that they do. The babies are beautiful. We're drawn to their energy. We're drawn to that level of consciousness. They remind us of what it's like to live in fearlessness. And yet animals do continue to live more from their intuition, from their sensing abilities, from their higher senses than what people are usually taught to, you know, to be. And I think I think we look at that and we have so much to learn from, oh, I can be that way as well. That we are that way.
And there's something else too, which is hugely important too. If you have the experience of raising an animal from puppyhood, kittenhood, whatever it is, and you're watching their development, you are connecting with the developmental stages that are very similar to a child's as well. And it's been an incredible experience raising Teddy. He's the only one I've had the privilege of living with from when he was 8 weeks. And it's such a privilege. And my understanding of human beings has absolutely grown because of that, because it linked with my time working with children as a teacher, and seeing that his development and how he learns, and reminding me of the children that I taught, and that connection. And suddenly the links to the adults grew more clear, and how adults come to where they are, and the different stages, and how we can get stuck in different stages. It was a real illustration. So the wealth of learning that we gain from a deep connection with animals, it seems to be endless.
Yes. I mean, so I think many people without having an animal as a child, even. I've heard so many stories. We weren't allowed to have animals in my house as a child, believe it or not. People assume I was raised around a menagerie of animals. But listening to stories of, the child that was in the crib that cried and the cat would jump in the crib, hurt the child, but they remember that. They remember that one accepting soul that came in and said, I'm here for you, that taught them that they're not alone, and helped them to see what compassion felt like, and empathy from another soul in ways that they weren't experiencing from their parents at the time. The animal, and so they help us emotionally mature as well. We need to be shown something. Sometimes we only learn through opposites, right? Where, we learn empathy through, not seeing it in our abuser, not having it. We don't want to be that abuser, but most people will repeat the pattern. But then there's an animal that can come in and say, no, it's possible. You are lovable. I see you. You matter, in a way that possibly they weren't feeling from people. That's, it's amazing, isn't it?
It is. And I think there's one thing I would add here, is that there's always somebody who's going to say we're anthropomorphizing. And I think that is an incredibly limited and actually now outdated view of animals, which suggests that anything that we attribute to them in the way of feeling is beyond their actual ability. And we now, behavior science has shown time and again that animals have core feelings, which accounts for the core wounds that you've identified, that they respond. And we know from the hormonal tests that have been done that they respond to love. They feel the same hormones that are released when we are feeling loving and affectionate, oxytocin, are also present in the same way that the same stress hormone, cortisol, is present when we feel that they're being stressed. Yeah, absolutely. So this is real. It's not anthropomorphizing. And I think it's just beautiful. So at this point, you've offered to read the epilogue to your book. And I can't think of a lovelier way to end this interview. And I think I'll probably need tissues at the ready. So,
Okay, absolutely. Yes, let me pull it out. Would you like to go ahead and begin?
yes, just
okay. So possibly if you're watching this or listening to it, you might want to just settle in your chair and get comfy. Maybe close your eyes and breathe this in, because when I wrote the epilogue, it's called Their Love Letter to You. I was basically closed eyes and typing. So I do believe that it came from your animal directly to you. Here we go. To my beloved person. My heart is full of gratitude to you for creating a safe place for me to live, love, heal, and enjoy life. Thank you for being open to healing together. If you find yourself stuck in fear because of an issue that you perceive I'm going through, or an emotion that you assume I must be feeling, pull back your energy and release your fears in healthy ways. Then you will have clarity around what matters most to us both. During stressful times, I understand that you are doing the best you can. So please release any guilt that you are hanging on to regarding decisions on my behalf. I forgive you for any perceived mistakes. Let's move forward and not look back at unpleasant times. Focusing on the past keeps us both stuck. Speak your truth to me. I can handle it. When you're leaving the house for whatever reason, believe that I will be fine, as that helps me release my own fears. Send me love when you're not with me. I will feel it, and it helps me to feel more peaceful and safe when you are not physically with me. Please honor any grieving process I may be going through and give me the space and timing to heal as I choose. Feel free to grieve with me and know that releasing my pain during difficult times is a natural thing that I need to do. I know it hurts you to see me hurting, but know that I'll be okay, just as you will. Love yourself as much as I love you. Look in the mirror and see what I see, a beautiful, kind, loving, caring person filled with light and love. It has and always will be easy for me to see that you are a spark of the divine. When I see you being kinder to yourself, I have accomplished one of my goals, and that helps my soul to evolve. What you feed me matters a lot. Please give me the higher vibrational food to help me better take care of my sacred temple, and help me not to confuse food with love. Also feed me positive, loving thoughts grounded with a knowing that everything is always unfolding just as it should. I need daily movement to release my emotions and feel better. It helps me to ground with Mother Earth, and it revitalizes my body, mind, and soul. It also clears toxins and energy I might have absorbed from others. My soul is evolving, and being with you is important for my growth. I know you think you chose me, but I always knew you were the one for me. The heavens orchestrated every detail to ensure that we'd be together, however short our time might be. Together, we can be a bridge from heaven to earth and bring more light to the world. I am not the reason you feel more love. You were simply ready to begin opening your heart, and God sent me to you. I cannot love you enough to heal your pain. That is yours to bear, heal, and release on your own. However, know that I will always support you by loving you, no matter what you may be going through. And I will hold space for you to find the strength and courage you need to begin removing the cloaks of your pain so you may feel better. I will be your number one cheerleader. When it is my time to go, know that I will help you with any big decisions you have to make on my behalf. I trust you completely to accurately read my wishes. I do not fear death, as I know I will always be around you, just in a different way. Be a role model for love. When you are able to quiet your inner critic and begin to shift how you treat yourself, you allow more love to enter your heart. And when you allow in more love, you have more love to give. And that is why we are both here. With great respect and love and gratitude, your animal companion. Okay.
So, well, now getting a hold of ourselves.
I know. I still moved by their message.
Yes, so moving. I think I hope that people are more inspired than ever to pick up your book, which is Soul Healing with Our Animal Companions. And I will have a link to that in the description box, as well as links to your website. Tammy, tell us what that is.
It's my name, TammyBillups.com. You'll find everything there, the events and the classes. Everything is on my website, one-stop shop.
And we have also planned something very special together coming up. And I shall be telling people all about that as the date comes along. But it's basically going to be an audience with Tammy and with me. And if you would like to be a part of that, do get in touch, because I will have a look at yours and your animals' charts together. And Tammy will also be looking at what your souls are, what the journey is for your souls together. So between me and Tammy, we hope to help you better understand the amazing connection that you have with your animals. And if you are interested, please do get in touch. Tammy, thank you so much for joining us today.
Oh, you're most welcome. What a wonderful conversation. Thank you, Anna, for all you do.
Thank you all for watching. Once again, let me know if you would like to join me and Tammy for our special edition of In the Light, Growing Your Soul. And keep an eye on my website, as I will be announcing lots of things. Not least, I am doing a creativity workshop coming up in July as well. So if you're interested in any of this, just email me. And next time, we're going to be looking at energy healing and ancestral healing. Until then, goodbye.